I have to admit that I didn't want to do a video today because I really don't feel well still. I wanted to relax, I wanted to read more of the book that I'm reading. It's absolutely amazing. It's all about life on this planet we call Earth. But when you're faced with Ed Miliband, I mean really, honestly.
Speaking at the party's conference in Manchester, he said Labour would save and transform the NHS, lower the voting age and introduce a higher minimum wage. Ed Miliband joins us right now. Very good morning to you, Mr. Miliband. Thanks very much for coming to see us.
Thank you.
Let's go over the speech, because a lot of the papers talking about this morning about what was left out, the deficit. Did you forget that paragraph?
Well, it's the way I prepare these speeches is that I write a speech and then I don't exactly try and memorise it. I use it as a basis for what I might say. So some of it got left out. Sometimes I add bits, but I was very clear, for example, in our plans on the NHS, that we wouldn't be borrowing a penny more to pay for it. So I was very clear about that in relation to the deficit.
OK, so with the deficit paragraph, because it's printed, isn't it? Did you forget that paragraph?
Yeah, I didn't do one part of the speech.
When you memorise a 70-minute speech, do you forget bits? Did you yesterday?
Absolutely, yes.
They say you get the government you deserve. Well, it looks like Ed Miliband is going to be our next Prime Minister according to recent polls. And this says everything about our instant, superficial, careless, I want to be famous, politically stupid society. I haven't heard his speech to conference. Have you noticed how they all say conference, not the conference? They don't say his speech to the conference. They say his speech to conference. By leaving out the, I think they sound a little bit more pretentious.
On the stage yesterday, I introduced him to conference talking about...
Anyway, I didn't hear his speech to the conference yesterday. But what have been arguably the two main issues in the last several years, in fact since David Cameron got elected in May 2010? Well, you'd have to say austerity, you'd have to say the deficit, and you'd have to say the economy. The other issue, of course, is immigration, which has resulted in UKIP winning in the European elections and looking like they're about to have their first MP. So, what did Ed Miliband do in his speech to the conference? He forgot to mention both of these issues. This is simply amazing for a guy who has 8 months left to convince people to vote for him. He forgot. He didn't simply leave out, he forgot. Utterly astounding. He is so plastic. He's weak, he's pointless, he's laughable, he is by any measure a complete fucking idiot. He's clumsy, he simply is dreadful in every single way. How on earth can it be allowed that he might be our next Prime Minister? It's time like this that you need aliens to intervene. Beam him up, guys, please. Please, no, seriously, beam him up. He is that bad. We will have a real-life Muppet running our country. Not that he'd obviously run anything, but you get my point. We will be a laughingstock internationally. Could you imagine Ed Miliband squaring off with Putin over Ukraine? Putin would literally eat him alive. The thought just, oh my God, it's incredible. To any thinking man, Ed Miliband is simply embarrassing. But come next May, things could get even worse. Because if there is no outright majority, which is looking less and less likely, unless UKIP can do something amazing, which I doubt now after Farage said he wants less liberty and more security, then I fear that we will have Ed Miliband as PM and another 5 years of Nick Clegg as Deputy PM. Has anybody thought of this? Another 5 years of Nick Clegg. Miliband and Clegg. Now there's a duo. Who do they remind you of? Oh, to me, to you. It's unbelievable. How can we be called Great Britain with these two charlatans at the helm? Honestly, if this comes to pass, it must be the weakest political pairing in history in any country anywhere. At a time when the country needs leadership and insight and courage, we're going to be offered Ed Miliband and Nick Clegg. Oh, honestly, words fail me, literally fail me.